The wind howled outside the Deep Space Monitoring Station in Antarctica, but Dr. James Walker barely noticed it anymore. After 3 years at this remote outpost, the constant storm had become nothing more than background noise. He sat in his worn leather chair, sipping coffee from his favorite blue mug, watching the usual array of signals from space scroll across his screens. That's when he saw it. At first, he thought his tired eyes were playing tricks on him. The signal pattern was unlike anything he had seen before, too regular to be natural, too complex to be from any known human satellite or space station. "Hey, Bill," he called out to his colleague who was dozing in the corner. "Come take a look at this." Bill Thompson, a gray-haired veteran of space communication, shuffled over. His eyes widened as he looked at the screen. "That's not one of ours," he said, suddenly wide awake. "And it's not Russian or Chinese either." James nodded, his heart beginning to race. "It's coming from the Kuiper Belt," he said, typing rapidly on his keyboard. "And it's repeating in a mathematical sequence." The two men looked at each other. They both knew what this might mean, but neither wanted to be the first to say it. After 20 years of watching the skies, this could be the moment they had both dreamed of and feared. James reached for the red phone, the direct line to mission control. His hand was shaking slightly as he dialed. "This is Antarctic Station Delta. We have a code 7. I repeat, we have a code 7. Within hours, the quiet station became a hub of activity. Teams of scientists and military personnel flew in despite the harsh weather. The signal was confirmed, reconfirmed, and analyzed from every possible angle. There was no doubt about it. They were receiving a message from an alien civilization. But it wasn't just any message. It was a distress call. The translation team worked around the clock. The aliens had cleverly designed their message using universal mathematical constants and simple binary patterns. After 3 days of intense work, they had their first breakthrough. "It's a fleet," announced Dr. Laura Peters, the lead translator. She stood before a room packed with officials from various space agencies and military branches. "They're stranded in the Kuiper Belt. Their main propulsion system has failed after hitting some kind of quantum anomaly." The room burst into excited chatter. James sat in the back, still trying to process that his ordinary night shift had led to humanity's first contact with alien life. The message continued to provide more details. The aliens called themselves the Meridians, and they were desperate. Their fleet of 7 massive ships carried thousands of their people. Without their quantum drive systems, they were stuck in space with failing life support systems. "But here's the strange part," Laura continued, silencing the room again. "We're not the first civilization they've contacted. They've reached out to multiple advanced alien species in our galaxy, but none of them can help." "Why not?" someone asked from the crowd. "Because their technology is too advanced," Laura explained. "The other civilizations they've contacted use similar quantum-based technology. When they tried to help, they couldn't interface with the damaged systems. It was like trying to fix a quantum computer with another quantum computer, when both are malfunctioning in ways too complex to understand." James watched as the officials exchanged worried looks. If advanced alien civilizations couldn't help, what chance did humanity have? But then Bill, who had been quietly listening in the corner, started chuckling. Everyone turned to look at him. "Don't you see?" he said, grinning. "They need someone who still knows how things work at the basic level. Someone who hasn't skipped straight to quantum technology without understanding the fundamentals." He looked around the room. "They need humans. We might be primitive by their standards, but sometimes you need a hammer and nails, not a molecular assembler." As his words sank in, James felt a smile spread across his face. Humanity's first contact with alien life wasn't going to be about proving our advancement. It was going to be about proving that sometimes the simplest solutions were the best ones. The real challenge was just beginning. The United Earth Council chamber was packed. Representatives from every major nation sat around the massive circular table, their faces lit by the blue glow of holographic displays showing the alien distress signal. President Robert Wilson of the World Space Organization stood at the center, his normally confident voice tinged with concern. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "we face an unprecedented situation. An advanced alien fleet is stranded in our solar system, and they need our help. The question is, are we capable of providing it?" The room erupted in heated discussion. Some representatives argued that Earth should stay out of alien affairs. Others insisted this was humanity's chance to prove itself to the galactic community. Dr. James Walker sat in the observers section, still amazed that his discovery had led to this historic moment. Next to him, Bill Thompson was taking notes on a worn paper notebook. Old habits died hard. "The Meridians have shared some of their technical specifications," President Wilson continued, bringing up new holographic images. "Their ships use quantum fold technology that we can barely understand, let alone repair." However, he paused, looking around the room. "They've noticed something interesting about human technology." The president gestured, and a new image appeared, a comparison between Earth's technology and various alien civilizations' development paths. Unlike the others, humanity's path showed a steady progression through each technological stage, never skipping steps. Most advanced species, he explained, discovered quantum technology early and built their civilizations around it. They never developed some of the primitive technologies we use. When their quantum systems fail, they have no backup solutions. A representative from India stood up. "Are you suggesting our technological backwardness might be an advantage?" "Not backwardness." Bill suddenly spoke up from the observers section. All eyes turned to him. "Thoroughness. We understand the basic principles behind everything we build. We don't just know that something works. We know why it works." The council members murmured among themselves. On the main screen, another message from the Meridians appeared. Their situation was getting worse. The quantum anomaly that had disabled their ships was slowly expanding, threatening to destroy their fleet entirely. "We've received reports from our best scientists," President Wilson said. "They believe we might be able to help, but it would require sending a team to the Kuiper Belt. The mission would be dangerous, with no guarantee of success." "And if we fail?" someone asked. "Then we fail trying," came a new voice. Kate Thompson, one of Earth's top space engineers, stepped forward. She hadn't been invited to the council meeting, but no one tried to stop her as she walked to the center of the room. "But if we succeed, we prove that humanity has something unique to offer the galaxy." She pulled up her own diagrams on the display. The Meridian's quantum drives are complex, but they still operate on basic physical principles. While other species are trying to interface with the quantum systems directly, we could approach it from a different angle. Sometimes you need to restart a computer by cutting the power and rebooting it. Maybe these quantum drives need something similar. The room fell silent as they considered her words. Even the most skeptical council members seemed intrigued by the possibility. President Wilson nodded slowly. "We'll need to assemble a team. People who understand both theoretical physics and practical engineering. People who can think creatively when facing unknown challenges." "I have some suggestions," Kate said, bringing up a list of names, including Dr. Mike Anderson, who's been studying quantum mechanics from an engineering perspective, and Tom Martinez, who's famous for fixing impossible problems on space stations. The council voted. The decision was unanimous. Earth would accept the challenge. They would send their best people to save the stranded alien fleet, armed not with advanced quantum technology, but with human ingenuity and fundamental understanding. As the meeting ended, James caught Bill smiling. "What's so funny?" he asked. "Just thinking," Bill replied, closing his notebook. "All these years, we thought first contact would be about proving we're advanced enough to join the galactic community. Turns out, it's about proving there's value in knowing how to do things the old-fashioned way." The real work was about to begin. Kate Thompson stood in the massive hangar of the International Space Center, looking up at the modified cargo ship that would carry them to the Kuiper Belt. Engineers swarmed around it like busy ants, adding extra shielding and installing the experimental equipment they hoped would save the alien fleet. "She's not much to look at," Tom Martinez said, walking up beside her. He was wearing his usual oil-stained jumpsuit, a toolbox in one hand. "But she'll get us there." Tom was right. Compared to the sleek alien ships they'd seen in the Meridian's transmissions, their vessel looked like something from a junkyard. But that was exactly the point. They understood every bolt and wire in it. Dr. Mike Anderson emerged from behind a stack of equipment, his glasses slightly crooked as usual. He was carrying a thick notebook filled with calculations. "The nuclear pulse drive is installed," he said. "It's not elegant, but it should give us enough power to test our theory." Their plan was crazy enough that it just might work. While other alien species had tried to interface directly with the Meridian's quantum systems, the human team had a different idea. They would use modified nuclear fission technology, something considered obsolete by most advanced civilizations, to generate a massive power surge. The hope was that this primitive energy pulse would be simple enough to jumpstart the alien quantum drives. "The Meridians think we're crazy," Kate said, remembering their last communication. The aliens had been polite but skeptical when she explained their plan. They couldn't understand why humans would still use such basic technology. "Maybe we are crazy," Tom grinned, patting the ship's hull. "But sometimes crazy works. Besides, their fancy quantum technology isn't helping them much right now, is it?" A young technician ran up to them, holding a tablet. "We just received new data from the Meridian fleet," she said, her face worried. "The quantum anomaly is growing faster than expected. We have less time than we thought." Mike took the tablet, his eyes scanning the numbers quickly. "This changes things," he said. "We need to launch within 48 hours, or we won't reach them in time." Kate looked at her team. They had been preparing for weeks, but they weren't fully ready. The nuclear pulse system hadn't been properly tested. The shielding was only partially installed. Launching now would be risky. But as she looked around the hangar, she saw determination in every face. This wasn't just about saving the Meridians anymore. This was humanity's chance to prove they belonged among the stars. "We'll make it work," she decided. "Tom, forget the non-essential upgrades. Focus on the pulse drive and basic life support. Mike, run final calculations on the minimum power we need. Everyone else, we launch in 36 hours. The hangar erupted into even more frantic activity. Engineers and technicians worked in shifts, catching sleep when they could. Tom spent hours in the ship's engine room, manually adjusting the nuclear pulse system. Mike filled 3 more notebooks with calculations, trying to account for every possibility. As the launch countdown began, Kate stood in the ship's control room. Through the window, she could see the gathered crowd of officials and families. Dr. James Walker and Bill Thompson were there too, the men who had first received the Meridian's distress call. "Ground control to Salvation Team," a voice crackled over the radio. "Are you ready for launch?" Kate looked at her crew. Tom gave her a thumbs up from his engineering station. Mike nodded from behind his computer screens. The rest of the team, engineers, physicists, and mechanics chosen for their practical problem-solving skills, all showed green status. "Salvation Team ready for launch," she replied. "Let's go save some aliens." The engines roared to life, and Kate felt the familiar push of acceleration. As Earth fell away behind them, she thought about the challenge ahead. They were about to attempt something no other species had managed, using technology others considered obsolete. But maybe that was exactly why they would succeed. The trip to the Kuiper Belt took 3 weeks. Kate spent most of her time in the control room of their ship, which the crew had nicknamed Old Reliable. The vast emptiness of space stretched out before them, broken only by the distant glimmer of stars. "Power systems holding steady," Tom reported from his station. He hadn't changed out of his lucky jumpsuit since launch, claiming it would be bad luck. Nobody argued. They needed all the luck they could get. Mike floated into the control room, pushing himself along with practiced moves. "I've been studying the latest data from the Meridian fleet," he said, his face serious. "It's worse than we thought." He pulled up a holographic display showing 7 massive alien ships. Red warning indicators flashed around them. The quantum anomaly is affecting their life support systems now. Temperature controls are failing. They've had to evacuate 3 decks already. Kate felt her stomach tighten. They had known it was bad, but this was dire. How long do they have? At current deterioration rates, Mike adjusted his floating glasses. Maybe 4 days before critical systems start failing completely. Tom stopped his work on a control panel. "We'll be there in 2 days. That doesn't leave much time for mistakes." "Then we won't make any," Kate said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. She turned to their communication officer. "Send a message to the Meridians. Tell them to hold on. We're coming." The next 2 days passed in a blur of preparation and planning. The crew ran simulation after simulation, trying to account for every possibility. Tom spent hours fine-tuning the nuclear pulse system, while Mike worked on calculations to predict how their primitive technology would interact with the quantum anomaly. Finally, they saw it, the Meridian fleet. Despite their problems, the alien ships were beautiful. They seemed to shimmer like liquid metal, their quantum drives giving off a faint blue glow even in their damaged state. Each ship was massive, easily 20 times the size of Old Reliable. "This is Earth Rescue Vessel Old Reliable to Meridian Fleet," Kate broadcast. "We're approaching your position." The response came quickly, translated by their computers. "Earth Vessel, welcome. Though we must admit, your ship's appearance is concerning." Tom snorted from his station. "Wait until they see what this ugly duckling can do." As they got closer, their sensors began picking up details about the quantum anomaly. It was like a tear in space itself, distorting everything around it. Their simple radar systems could barely detect it, which turned out to be an advantage. More advanced sensors would have been completely confused by the quantum interference. "This is bad," Mike said, studying the readings. "The anomaly is creating a cascade effect in their quantum systems. It's like a virus spreading through their technology, corrupting everything it touches." Kate watched as the emergency lights on the alien ships pulsed faster. "How are their life support systems?" "Failing," Mike replied. "They've lost artificial gravity on 2 ships already. Air recycling is at 60% efficiency and dropping." "And the temperature?" He paused, double-checking his readings. "It's falling fast. Some decks are already below freezing." Through the view screen, Kate could see movement on the alien ships, emergency teams in what looked like spacesuits moving between vessels. The Meridians were evacuating their most damaged ships, cramming everyone into the few vessels with working life support. "We need to act fast," she decided. "Tom, is the pulse system ready?" Tom patted his control panel. "Ready as it'll ever be." "But Captain," he looked up at her, "this is going to be one hell of a jump start. If our calculations are off even a little." He didn't need to finish. They all knew the risks. Their plan to use a nuclear pulse to restart the alien quantum drives was dangerous. If they got it wrong, they could make things worse instead of better. But as Kate looked at the failing alien ships, she knew they had no choice. They had come too far to back down now. "Begin approach sequence," she ordered. "Let's show these advanced civilizations what humanity's primitive technology can do." Old Reliable docked with the largest Meridian ship, connecting through an airlock that seemed too elegant for their rusty vessel. Kate led her team through, carrying basic tools and equipment that looked ancient compared to the sleek alien technology surrounding them. Their first sight of the Meridians was surprising. The aliens were tall, graceful beings with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer in the emergency lighting. But what struck Kate most was the look in their large eyes. Fear mixed with desperate hope. The Meridian captain, who introduced himself as first navigator, met them in the ship's control center. "We appreciate your effort," he said through their translator. "But I must be honest, your proposed solution seems Primitive. Sometimes primitive is exactly what you need, Tom replied, already examining the quantum drive controls. He pulled out a simple voltage meter, technology that had barely changed in 200 years. See this? No quantum interference. Simple tools, simple readings. Mike was studying the alien engine room with wide eyes. It's incredible, he said. Their quantum drive doesn't just power the ship, it's integrated into every system. When it failed, everything started failing. Like a house of cards, Kate nodded. Too interconnected, no backup systems. The Meridian engineers watched in confusion as Tom began connecting basic diagnostic tools to their advanced systems. He worked quickly, using alligator clips and handheld meters to test different components. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. Found something. Tom called out after an hour. Their quantum field generator is completely dead, but the physical housing is intact. We might be able to use that. Kate turned to First Navigator. We need to salvage parts from our ship's nuclear pulse drive. It's risky, but we think we can modify it to generate a massive power surge, enough to kickstart your quantum systems. The Meridian leader looked uncertain. Our simulations show that such a crude energy pulse would likely destroy our sensitive equipment. That's because you're thinking like an advanced civilization, Mike said, sketching diagrams on his paper notebook. The Meridian stared at this primitive method of recording information. You're trying to interface with the quantum field directly. We're going to do something simpler. He showed them his drawings. We'll use the nuclear pulse to generate a basic electromagnetic field first. Think of it like a stepping stone, converting our primitive energy into something your systems can recognize. Then we'll use your own field generators to shape it into a quantum pulse. The Meridian engineers studied the drawings, their expressions shifting from skepticism to cautious interest. One of them spoke up. This is unorthodox, but the principles are sound. Unorthodox is what we do best, Tom grinned, already heading back to their ship to start dismantling the pulse drive. The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. The human team worked nonstop, combining Earth technology with alien equipment in ways neither civilization had imagined before. Tom's practical experience proved invaluable as he found ways to connect incompatible systems using basic electrical principles. It's like connecting a steam engine to a computer, he explained to a fascinated Meridian engineer. Sounds impossible, but electricity is electricity, no matter how you generate it. Meanwhile, the quantum anomaly continued to grow. Emergency alarms blared regularly as more systems failed. The temperature dropped further, and Kate could see their breath forming clouds in the cold air. Finally, Tom stepped back from their jury-rigged creation. It was a mess of alien technology and Earth equipment, held together with what looked suspiciously like duct tape in places. It's ready, he announced, or as ready as it's going to be. Kate looked at their improvised solution. Human ingenuity meeting alien technology. It wasn't pretty, but it represented hope. First Navigator stepped forward, studying their work. I must admit, he said slowly, when we called for help, we expected advanced technology. Instead, you brought us something we had forgotten. The ability to solve problems with basic principles. That's what humans do best, Kate replied. We make things work, even when they shouldn't. Now they just had to hope it would be enough. The temperature in the Meridian ship's control room had dropped to near freezing. Everyone's breath came out in white clouds, and the human team had borrowed thermal suits from their own ship. The quantum anomaly swirled outside the viewports, its purple-black energy tendrils reaching closer by the minute. All ships evacuated except this one. First Navigator reported, his silvery skin dulled by the emergency lighting. We have moved all crew members to the central sections. Life support is at critical levels. Kate looked at their makeshift solution, a combination of Earth's nuclear pulse technology and Meridian quantum systems. It looked like something built in a garage, with exposed wires and jury-rigged connections everywhere. Tom's famous duct tape held several crucial components together. Mike, talk me through it one more time, Kate said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Mike adjusted his frosted glasses. The nuclear pulse will generate raw power. That feeds into our electromagnetic converters, which will transform it into energy the Meridian systems can recognize. If it works, their quantum drive should restart, pushing back the anomaly and restoring power to all systems. And if it doesn't work? First Navigator asked. Tom looked up from his final checks. Then we either fry every system on the ship or create an even bigger quantum anomaly. Maybe both. The Meridian leader was silent for a moment. Our most advanced allies couldn't help us. Yet here we are, putting our faith in. He gestured at their improvised device. Tape and primitive atomic power. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways, Tom said, patting the nuclear pulse generator. Simple, reliable, and most importantly, we understand exactly how it works. Kate checked the time. They had maybe 20 minutes before the anomaly would reach the ship. It was now or never. Everyone to your stations, she ordered. Tom, monitor the pulse generator. Mike, watch the energy conversion rates. I'll coordinate with the Meridian systems. The crew scrambled to their positions. Meridian engineers worked alongside humans, their advanced tablets next to Earth's simple mechanical gauges. It was perhaps the strangest collaboration in the history of both species. Starting power-up sequence, Tom announced. The nuclear pulse generator hummed to life, its deep vibration very different from the usual quiet whir of Meridian technology. Stage 1 energy output normal, Mike reported, watching his instruments. Beginning conversion process. Kate watched as power levels climbed. The jerry-rigged connection points held, transferring energy from one civilization's technology to another. But as the power increased, warning lights began flashing. Quantum fluctuations increasing. A Meridian engineer called out, "The anomaly is reacting to our power signature." The ship shuddered. Through the viewports, they could see the anomaly's tendrils moving faster, drawn to their energy like a moth to flame. "We need more power." First Navigator shouted as systems began failing around them. "But the connections won't hold," Mike warned, his displays showing dangerous stress levels. Kate looked at Tom. He nodded, understanding without words. "Bypass the safety protocols," Kate ordered. "Route everything through the main converter. Maximum power." "That could blow up the whole thing," Mike protested. "We're dead anyway if this doesn't work," Tom said, already making the adjustments. "Sometimes you have to roll the dice." The ship groaned as power surged through systems never meant to work together. Warning alarms blared from both human and alien equipment. The temperature dropped even further as life support diverted all power to their desperate attempt. "Quantum drive is responding." First Navigator shouted over the noise. "But it's not enough. We need more." "We're routing power from old reliable," Kate decided. "Tom, give them everything we've got." Tom's fingers flew over his controls. Earth ship's power redirecting now, adding it to the pulse in 3, 2, 1. A blinding flash filled the control room. The ship bucked violently, throwing everyone against their restraints. Kate heard the scream of overtaxed metal and the crackle of electrical discharges. Then everything went quiet. For several terrifying seconds, there was complete darkness in the Meridian ship's control room. Then, one by one, systems began coming back online. The emergency lights flickered and steadied, and the familiar hum of the quantum drive filled the air. "Status report," Kate called out, pulling herself up from where she'd fallen. "Nuclear pulse generator is fried," Tom reported, checking his smoking equipment. But it did its job. Power transfer was successful. Mike was staring at his readings in disbelief. The quantum drive. It's working. Actually working. The anomaly is being pushed back. Through the viewport, they could see the purple-black tendrils of the quantum anomaly retreating, repelled by the restored quantum field. More importantly, the ship's temperature was rising, and the life support systems were coming back online. First Navigator's voice carried a tone of wonder. "All ships in the fleet are reporting quantum drive restoration." Power is returning to all systems. He turned to Kate and her team. You did it. With primitive technology and adhesive strips, you accomplished what the most advanced civilizations could not. Tom grinned, patting a piece of duct tape proudly. Never underestimate human ingenuity, or good old-fashioned tape. Over the next few hours, the Meridian fleet regained full power. The quantum anomaly dissipated completely, leaving no trace except the scorch marks on their makeshift device. Engineers from the other ships came to study the human solution, fascinated by how such simple principles had solved their complex problem. We've been relying so heavily on quantum technology, one Meridian engineer admitted, that we forgot the basic sciences that made it possible. Your solution wasn't elegant, but it worked because you understood the fundamental principles involved. A month later, back on Earth, Kate stood before the United Earth Council again. But this time, she wasn't alone. First Navigator stood beside her, along with representatives from 3 other advanced alien civilizations. The Meridian Fleet's rescue has changed how the galactic community views humanity, First Navigator announced to the packed chamber. We came seeking help from advanced civilizations, only to be saved by what we thought was primitive technology. We were wrong. He gestured to the human team. These humans showed us that true advancement isn't just about having the most sophisticated technology. It's about understanding how things work at every level and being able to solve problems creatively. The alien representatives stepped forward, each carrying a document. We propose establishing a permanent human innovation center, one announced. A place where humans can work with alien civilizations, bringing their unique problem-solving abilities to the galaxy's greatest challenges. Dr. James Walker, sitting in the audience with Bill Thompson, smiled as he remembered that ordinary night shift when he first detected the Meridian signal. Who could have guessed it would lead to this? In the years that followed, humanity became known throughout the galaxy not for their advanced technology, but for their ability to find unexpected solutions to complex problems. The Human Innovation Center became a hub where civilizations brought their most difficult challenges, knowing that sometimes the simplest approach was the best. Tom's famous duct tape found its way into emergency kits on ships across the galaxy, though most advanced species still couldn't understand why such a primitive adhesive was considered essential equipment. Kate continued leading missions to help other civilizations, always carrying both high-tech equipment and basic tools. As she often said, you never know when you'll need to solve a quantum physics problem with a wrench and some wire. The Meridian incident had taught the galaxy a valuable lesson. True innovation isn't about having the most advanced technology. It's about understanding the basic principles behind it and having the creativity to use that knowledge in unexpected ways. And in that, humanity had proven themselves to be true masters of the universe.